How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm good. We are now in Pune, uh, enjoying the nice weather.
Yeah, and time together.
Yeah, I mean, we were together in Delhi as well, but uh, these sort of without the cold. Delhi's harsh cold.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
How?
there the mausam is pleasant, na?
यहाँ पे तो there's the temperature is above 25 degrees Celsius, like 27, 28. So
Hmm.
little bit warmer, but sometimes it was like early morning, it gets a little bit colder also. So it kind of fluctuates at that range.
Hmm.
So, but Delhi must be really cold. Delhi and
Yeah, yeah.
Pune.
It is right now actually very changing weather here.
Okay.
It is cold, then it was raining also.
Hmm.
Sometime it rains, then there are winds, sometime
Yeah.
cold winds.
Hmm.
Yeah,
How was your break?
it was very nice. It was complete break, sort of almost a month
Yeah.
on a road trip.
Nice.
Yeah. Jharkhand is very beautiful.
Hmm.
It is like Karnataka. It has a lot of green belts,
Hmm.
then waterfalls,
Okay.
uh, unexplored. Like anywhere you are in Jharkhand, in 20 minutes you can be in forest.
Hmm.
20 minutes drive.
Okay.
Very nice. And then from there we went to Patna, then came back at home also. Mm, entire family was together for Chhat Puja.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. After that, last month I came back.
Okay.
After that, yeah, it took time to settle down.
Hmm. And like with us also, there was a lot of packing going on in Delhi. We packed all our stuff and we put it up in one place. And then we came here, and this apartment was, shut for a year.
Okay.
So we had to again clean everything and, buy
Mhm.
some new stuff, etc.
So before COVID, you must have been here, and then there was entire lockdown and all.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, so this is the apartment that she has been staying for some time, but she went to Delhi like last year at the beginning, and then
Hmm.
from then till now it was shut.
Hmm. Yeah.
So so a lot of time sort of packing in Delhi, unpacking here.
Hmm. So that home you have vacated?
That apartment I have vacated. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there is no point on like.
Because away for like 7 months. I'll save on those rents.
Yeah, and at the same time, when you will be back, then again, where you will stay,
Uh,
that is
and
all.
it was like, yeah, I also sort of, I've lived there for 2 years, I think. No, 3 years. I've lived there for 3 years.
Mm,
Uh, and it was kind of, I was thinking of I should move like to some other neighborhood now.
mm, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even at university, towards the end, you were quite occupied.
Yeah.
Lot of things were happening on your end.
December was like very busy, especially towards the end.
Yeah.
Even now, I'm still, so a lot of undergraduate students, they are applying for master's program abroad. So
Mm,
I'm writing recommendation letters for a bunch of them.
mm,
So that's still going on. Like today, I have to write one and submit one, and then there are a
mm.
bunch of others waiting. So, like
Yeah.
this work continues.
I think writing a recommendation also takes its time.
Because you have to think a little bit seriously because it has serious consequences in terms of admission chances.
Mm-hmm.
For some students, it's easy because I know these students are very good. So, I can be, I can say a lot of stuff about them. For the students who are not like at the top, for them, I have to think a bit how to say, sort of project their abilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And just I'm a little curious on recommendations.
Yeah.
So, so is it like you have to write? Isn't it that you write a very good recommendation each time?
What do you mean?
I mean that you praise the student, whosoever for whom you are writing. So how is it like you have to be very honest, or you could be a little favorable on the student side?
Right.
Writing.
So,
What is the perception in general?
yeah. So I think if I want to, so as you are saying, I think the people who are reading the letters, like the admission committee,
Mhm,
they are also thinking about how good a letter writer I am.
mhm,
And so I have an incentive to be very honest. So typically in good places, when people write letters, they are very honest about the
mhm,
evaluation of the students. So
mhm,
so if a student is really good, the I should say that the student is one of the top students I've seen, etc. For these reasons, and I can't just say nice things. I have to also back it up with some kind of objective information.
mhm, mhm,
Yeah. So I think people, and if I say very nice things about a student who is some kind, like I'd say an average student,
mhm,
and in case they admit that student based on my recommendation, and the student doesn't perform well,
mhm.
then they will discount my letters in next years.
Okay,
So that's a incentive on my part also, to be honest, because I want to build a reputation that I always say the right, the honest thing.
absolutely. Mhm,
So that's, I think, so yeah, the practice in good places is that you should be very honest about. So sometimes what happens is that some students, they have, you have to usually have to submit 3 letters, and sometimes a student knows 2 people very well, and they're writing letters for them, but the student is not able to find a third one, and then often they sort of ask somebody
mhm,
who may not know the student very well.
mhm.
So in those cases, the letter writer can say that, I don't know that student very well. He has only taken one course with me, and he has done this thing. That's the only thing I know.
Okay.
So people are very honest that way.
So your reputation counts.
Reputation counts, definitely. Sometimes students want to know, because some also in Ashoka, students know that faculty are generally very honest about their evaluation. So sometimes students want to know whether you will write a very strong letter for him or her,
Mhm,
and only then they'll say, okay, then, so they'll say that. So for example, this time there's a student who requested me that, uh, I would like you to write the letter only if you have a very strong opinion about me. So that, that can also happen, that, if I say that, okay, no, I don't think I'll write a very strong letter for you, then they'll say, okay, then I'll find somebody else.
oh, this also happens.
Yeah. Yeah, some students are very upfront about it.
Yeah. So I mean, this much. I think on your part also, you have built this kind of bonding with students that they can ask you.
Yeah.
Because with strict professors, we don't ask.
Yeah.
It's like if he writes that only, like he agrees to write,
Ah,
that in itself is we feel like job done.
yeah. Yeah, also exactly. So generally, I have denied people, like on my own. I have said I'll not write for you, because I in my perception, the student is not very good. So I cannot write a very good letter.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, I say that, maybe you should look for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Um, so these are, yeah, so undergraduate is still sort of, it's important because they're applying for master's programs, but even higher stakes are PhD applications. So master students applying for PhD, and even higher are the PhD students, those who are finishing PhD, they're applying for faculty positions, jobs. So they're also, their advisors and others write letters for them.
Okay.
So those are really high stake because, you may or may not get a job based on letters.
Absolutely. Mm. And how is postdoc taken?
Postdoc is basically, it's like a job without teaching responsibility.
Mm.
In many cases, in some cases postdocs are hired for very specific projects. Say
Mm.
some senior professor is doing some kind of large project, they got some very large grant,
Mm.
and part of the grant can fund postdoc positions, say for 2 years, 3 years, whatever.
Mm.
And so they hire people only to work on that project, and they pay the postdocs out of the grant money. So that's sort of one model. The other model is that the department hires postdocs on their own without attaching the postdocs to any project. So then, the basically then it's like a faculty position without any teaching or admin responsibility. So you go, you visit, you stay in that department
Mm.
for whatever be the period of postdoc, and then you just do your own research. You don't have to teach, you don't have to do any other work. So that's
These
another model.
these must be at universities which are well off with funding. With the
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
old universities which have,
Older universities, they have, yeah. So ISI has a very nice postdoc. ISI Delhi has a postdoc position. Uh,
because it's like a dream job for a researcher.
yeah. The only thing is that postdocs are not permanent. They tend to be for 2, 3 years, 4 years at max.
Mm.
So after that, you have to look for job again.
And then if you are disassociated, you are doing your independent research, you are not under supervision, and then after that applying for a job position when you would again require somebody to write for you. So is a pretty challenge in that case, because if relationship isn't active, then the
Right.
quality of recommendation would, I'm sure,
Yeah. So that's why
is.
you have to maintain contact with other important researchers in your field.
Mhm.
Even when, so suppose, even if you're not doing a postdoc, so suppose me, I have a job,
Mhm.
but these are called tenure track positions.
Okay.
So I have 6 years of contract, and at the end of 6 years, I will be evaluated
At
uh,
Ashoka.
at Ashoka,
Okay.
and after the evaluation, they'll decide whether to give me a permanent position. So that's called tenure. Tenure meaning that you have permanent lifetime job security at Ashoka. So
Okay.
this is the system that is followed in US, and so
Mhm.
now this 6 years, so this evaluation, so there are two evaluations. One is called midterm, so after end of 3 years, which is sort of, it's like a midterm exam, like how you are doing, kind of a thing.
Mhm.
And at the end of 6 years is the serious one, which will tell you yes or no.
Mhm.
If they say no, then you have to leave Ashoka. So even in this midterm and in this final evaluation,
Mhm.
they ask senior researchers in my field to write letters about me. So I have completed 3 years at Ashoka. I had to submit names of researchers who would write letters for me to, and they'll comment how good of a researcher I am based on whatever research I've done so far. So we need letters even at a higher level as well. And for that, we have to maintain contact with people and update them. I have done this research. This is my new paper, etc., etc. Keep talking to them in conferences, so that they have an opinion about you. So when university asks you to submit a letter about me, you can say, you can say things.
Okay. So I did not know this. I mean, this is so the peers in your peer circle, you have to be,
Yeah,
they have to be updated about you
yeah,
if you are a researcher. And
yeah. And yeah, and usually they typically are like senior professors who are writing letters for these kind of tenure evaluations. So and that's why, yeah, so that's why it's more important to sort of keep visiting conferences in US, etc., so that you can meet all these people who can be potential tenured letter writers for you.
but the conferences are just like 1 or 2 days sort of conference. There, suppose 50 or 100 people are there. So how do you get chance to interact with them?
Right. So because if you are presenting, then you are on focus. So there are fewer presenters. So if you are presenting, that's your opportunity to sort of discuss your work, and then they get an impression about you based on how you present and how you answer questions. People can ask tough questions, and then if you answer them very confidently, etc., then so these things matter. And then you also seek out people. So in a conference, there may be 2 or 3 people that you think are relevant for your research, not just in terms of letter writing, but generally that they would be interested in your work.
Yeah.
So you go and talk to them
Mhm.
specifically. So people seek out other people.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, there is a lot of this kind of, so research, like those who don't do research, they have this idea of a researcher sitting at home alone doing research,
Mhm.
which is true. That's the sort of part of it is like that, but you have to be very social uh, after you produce your research, to communicate it and to discuss it with other people. And it, and so so there are a lot of researchers who are socially very awkward. I mean, like their characters are like that.
Yeah.
So they have a very hard time because you need to be very social. You need to go to big groups of people and strike up conversations with people you haven't met.
Mhm.
So, and if people who are who have inhibitions
Mhm.
in being in
Introverts that would
yeah,
keep
yeah,
quiet.
so they have, for them it's a difficult task.
So even in academics, social skills are very important.
Yeah, definitely, it's very important,
Mm.
especially in kind of social science kind of discipline. In math, I guess, you can be a genius mathematician, write your paper and be famous, but
And how is Google Scholar taken up in academic circle?
we a lot of us use Google Scholar to find papers. So Google Scholars also give you number of citations for each paper. That also people care about,
Mhm.
that how well cited somebody's paper is. So we use Google Scholar a lot.
Okay. So there I have an input. Your Google Scholar uh, profile is not updated, I guess.
Yeah, that's possible. So I have a web page which has sort of the most updated information, but
Mhm.
I should update my Google Scholar page. I have so there is a economics research page for called REPEC, REPEC.
Okay.
It also I sort of collects information about economics papers by economics researchers. So that there my page is updated because it automatically searches for papers with my name and then attaches it
Okay.
against my profile.
Okay. So, and that can be accessed by anyone.
Yeah, it's a public website.
But profiles are to be maintained by individuals.
Yeah, it also creates ranking, etc.
Hmm. Okay, got it. Hmm. So I think that is easy. You can do that. If you need my help there, I can help you with
Sure.
Google Scholar because I think Google sites are pretty easy to update.
Yeah, they're pretty easy to update.
Hmm. Okay, so let us start now.
Yeah. So the I had a chat with the professor, as I mentioned, when uh, there was a conference at Ashoka, and
Leonard.
yeah, Leonard. Um, so he's interested, but it looks like he's super busy because he said that he would, because I had emailed him to have a separate meeting on this. And so
Hmm.
on the day we spoke, he said he'll email me because he is busy right now, by on the last week of December,
Hmm.
to set up a meeting, but he hasn't done that. I mean, it looks like he's not good with emails and he's generally very busy. But I'll send him an email to say that we should talk, etc. So I think it will sort of take a little bit of time for him to get hooked to this project. But once he hooked, I'm hoping that he'll be more regular.
Yeah, initial booking time,
Uh,
definitely.
um, we should talk about, like, the thing we discussed at your place about the collecting this data via.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
so the idea is to sort of to do it in at least a two-step process, right? So first we will send them a form which will have some basic information requirement,
Hmm.
and we will say that this is part of the registration process from your end. And so if they fill it out and send it back, they'll get something like, you were saying, some pen or t-shirt, whatever,
Hmm. Some incentive.
some incentive. Yeah. So once they do that, then we get those information, and then we'll give them a call again and say that, so this is the second step where we need some details so that we can match you to the right people, etc. We know what kind of products to talk to you about, etc. So so that time we can get details about their activities in terms of how many, how much, what is the sort of monetary worth of business, etc.
Right. So, on my part, let me update you.
Yeah.
After our last discussion, so you asked me to find a quotation from telephone, the
Right.
telephony company in terms of what is it for resource as well as for telephony infrastructure. Right. So I found out from their end. So they told me that uh, a female employee, full-time female employee, would who is like a telecaller. So that entire thing they said will be of 35,000, and then some 5,000 minutes of calls would again like total 40,000 they quoted me per month.
Okay.
And the profile would be that she is a telecaller who sits at her home and she will do the calling, and there will be a monitoring team who will, I mean, a project manager who might be managing more multiple projects from their end, and he will be looking into whether she has achieved her milestones or not.
Okay.
So that evaluation that PM will also do. So this entire thing they told me would be of 40,000 per month.
Okay. And okay. And this in a month there's an upper limit on the number of minutes that she can be on call.
So like it was 5,000 minutes of call,
Okay.
which was included in this. Now, if we need more calls, we have to buy additional telephony infrastructure.
I see. Okay.
You can say that 5,000 minutes of free calling would be included in this.
Okay.
And after that, if we make more calls, then we would require more money.
Okay.
I mean, we have to buy that separately as per requirement.
Okay. And this person will be provided by the company.
Yes, it will be provided by the company. I also asked that in case if we want to hire, then could you suggest us agencies from where we can hire? So they did not revert me on that.
Okay.
They told me that lump sum it would be this. If you are interested, then we can take the conversation.
Okay. Okay. So for the sending out these letters, do we need somebody to do that?
So actually, for sending out letters, I asked her only. Manjari is her name from Spark TG. I asked her that will she be competent enough to? It will be like a receptionist kind of role where she'll be sending out letters also and receiving the letters once they are sent her back to her. So will she be competent enough to do this? At the same time, in case if we ask her to do basic Google search to find out new vendors from some other place, we give her the descriptions that these kinds of vendors you need to search and reach out to them. So will she be competent enough to do this? So she said that this requires additional skills and the charges would be higher. So she said that maybe you are looking for somebody like a secretary kind of person. So she said ki charges would be higher on that front. So then I did not go into further discussion because based on the proposal that you have shared that this year we have got a grant of 2 lakhs.
Yeah.
To spend. So accordingly, I was doing that calculation also that if it is 40,000, then that means in 5 months period of time, it would be over. So that's why I did not move more into this discussion.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, what we could do is we could hire somebody and on our own, and that person could then do it, like become this secretary kind of a thing.
And additionally, there are some more research that I did on my part on how do we execute it. So So one thing that I found was this Google My Business.
Okay.
So this is if we list our business on Google, then they send a postal letter to us, and this has a code, verification code. So they say that as a part of postal verification, you enter this in on your account so that we match that the letter has actually reached your home or your desired address, and then only we will list the location on our map.
Right.
So this is an automated kind of thing that comes
Okay.
to us, and there is a if it is not delivered, then there is an address here,
Okay.
and it comes that already
Hmm.
it is that you tear it out
Hmm.
and you enter it, so that verification happens there. So this also I like, that there is no involvement of a person, that they send us back, and then after all this process is required for verification of location.
Right. Right.
So if they fill and they enter the right code, if it reaches them,
Yeah.
so we might be able to it's kind of verified.
Yeah.
So this is one that I found out, and then I tried finding how much this would cost, so that I can. I was talking to few stationery shops I had talked to, though I have not followed up again on them. That if weekly I ask you to post certain letters for me,
Hmm.
so I share with you a required format. You
Hmm.
just have to take printout of that format, and then you post it on the
Hmm.
address that also I will give you. Everything I will give you in a structured manner. So you post it on a weekly basis, and then whatever is the charges, postal charges as well as your markup, you tell me accordingly, such that it becomes a streamlined process.
Right.
So they said that, uh, I mean, one said that he was interested in knowing that, how much business will I have? If it is of profit to me, then definitely I can do that. So I said, okay, I will discuss with you on those. So that conversation, I did not take further, but I'm just suggesting you that this is one approach that I found it looked quite professional to me.
Okay.
So this is one thing.
So with the Google business, you are saying that uh, if you enter the addresses, they'll send these kind of letters automatically to those addresses, and then they have to enter that code to ensure that they have reached it.
Yeah, so actually, I'm not saying that we do it for Google business. I'm just saying that same idea we can use from Janta Ka Mood, we send them letter.
Right.
The format and the structuring part, I am saying
I
that I
see.
like the automated thing.
I see.
At this verification process for this, there is a code that comes to you. Only when you enter that code after opening the letter, then only your profile is verified.
Right.
Till then, you can do everything. You can share it, but verification will not happen. It
Right.
will not show on Google Map. So similarly, the incentive part will only be applicable once you enter that code.
Yeah.
Before that, it's not valid, and for all other purposes, it's fine.
Hmm.
But this is a mandatory requirement in order to be verified vendor,
Yeah.
physical verification.
Yeah. Right.
This should be cheap. Looks to me that maybe this post also we will be sending from a regular post. It will not be a speed post, because this letter came to me in like 14 days. They said
Okay.
14 days, and actually it took a month's time.
Okay.
So we can, that is 5 rupees per post. Postal charges are 5-6 rupees. Then printing and everything would maybe cost us around 25 to 30 rupees. If we go into a deal that you have to do everything, print out, and then accordingly, this initial setting up thing will be needed, but it can be scalable, and then in that case we don't have to worry that it's manually entered.
Right.
Then I was also visiting this website. Did I mention you earlier on campaigns and elections?
I don't know.
This is a US website, campaigns and elections. They have a journal.
I
in
see.
the election space. And I had shared with you earlier. I remember I have shared with you that report on the digital on spending in different category. So
Right.
it was a report which was generated by them.
Okay.
So here I found out, here they have a consultant directory.
Hmm.
Okay. So in this consultant directory, when a person has to sign in, and again, so it will be, your information will be publicly available. Whosoever searches on campaigns and elections, so they have like pretty decent category that who is providing what kind of services within each category.
Right.
I can click and then I would find out the related vendors
Yeah.
who are working in this category. So it's like a directory,
Yeah.
and there is some payment structure which is involved. I think it is $10,000 for a year. That kind of, and they have like different kinds of packages depending on how much information would be shown on internet if you
Okay.
subscribe to this. Uh, Sometimes you are provided ad space also, where you can also publish your video content, or if you just go for basic subscription which does not have money, then only your name will be listed. If you pay little bit, then your address will also be visible, and then if you
Hmm.
pay little more, then your social profiles would also be visible.
Hmm.
So this kind of they have structured process. So here, this also I like that we can create a similar thing for Janta Ka Mood, such that uh, a person whosoever calls now, for the vendor, that vendor needs to, rather than we sending them anything by post, they can download the form from here
Right.
and they can fill the information here only.
Yeah.
And our person would be monitoring as to who has filled how much,
Right.
and then coordinate or follow up that why don't you fill this so that you have these benefits.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the prelim verification as well as categorization or in their respective categories, if we use this kind of almost the same thing only what they are using, structuring would be a lot easier. uh, or that is what I felt.
Yeah. My only issue is that I think all in, most of the information you can ask people to fill them out on their own without worrying about them saying the wrong things, except about the finances like costs and revenue.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
So
that part, I think we need to make a call, etc.
yes, yes, yes. That we will do by calling. But at the same time, the parts which are not related to, so that is like the core survey part.
Yeah.
So that core survey part we have to do by calling only.
Yeah.
Rest other part, the verification part, because this is going to be an ongoing thing.
Right.
So for that we can set up this kind of structured uh, platform, such that this part is taken care of in due course of time. uh, Definitely, like doing this manually would require much more, there are chances of error as well as uh, even structuring issues also. Data is inconsistent for there, it involves a lot of data cleaning also.
Hmm.
What I experienced from the last interviews that the last spreadsheet which I had shared with you. So I was, while sharing with you the insights on that, I was doing the analysis, and I felt that it was very clumsy and it required a lot of manual cleaning on my part
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
come up with structured information.
Yeah.
So this uh, so this entire thing, how my thought process was to how do we optimize on our budget, 2 lakhs grant that we have got, in terms of that our goal is fulfilled, at the same time we do not overspend.
Yeah.
From that perspective, I was thinking on these parts.
Mm. So basically, for so uh, so how do you think this would be done? So there will be a website, and they'll once they receive, like they have to go to the website and submit some very basic details, etc. Right?
Yes. So the form that you want, which they have to fill, right? So we will categorize that form in 2, 3 sections, and then as we last time also discussed, that everything will not be filled at one go,
Right.
right? So there, as per sections, we would uh, ask them to first fill the initial information,
Mm.
and then parallelly, like both things will be happening. The core part for which we need calling, so we will do calling, and we will be inputting that information. At the same time, the incentive part, as we have shared last time, that we will give them certain incentive,
Mm.
maybe financial incentive. We will offer them that in future you would have like this much incentive, which you can redeem as money,
Right.
maybe in terms of profit margin or anything on that front.
Right.
So for that, it will only be applicable if your profile is updated.
Right.
So we will attach that thing with updated profile.
Yeah.
Then so that would so it would have like we can have informations like their WhatsApp number. Then if it is a registered company, then their GST number.
Mm.
Then WhatsApp, email, postal verification, then services that they are into, since when they were founded as
Right.
a company,
Right.
or are they in proprietorship.
Right.
Then there is one banking information also, which I have in mind, though I don't know how to operationalize it. Like you must have seen that when we enter our credit card information on certain platforms, which is like on an auto debit mode, so it takes charges 1 rupee and then reverses back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that way the banking information is also verified.
Right.
So if that could be done, that maybe we will transfer the money in your bank account in future
Uh,
days.
yeah. I mean, but for survey purposes, I mean, it's okay if I mean, for the survey, it's not that important. They can say whether they have a bank account or not, where what specific bank account number that they have, etc. That's
Okay.
that's
So I was just thinking of it that in terms of, I mean, giving grading to verification from that perspective, that tomorrow, see, it is whatever respondents that we have. I mean, till whatever end we are able to achieve, we can definitely will do till that end. But when I was thinking on verification, since it adds authenticity to the data, from that perspective, I was thinking that I don't know, I don't have answer, because why will they do or not do? Those are maybe we'll skip it only if the cost is involved. I'm just sharing, what all was coming to my mind.
Hmm.
That if we, to whatever later on we publish the respondents data, where when we add on the verification parameters, that these are verified till that extent, till that extent, till that extent, the respondent, so that would add value to the credibility of the report.
Right.
What do you say?
Yeah, but again, I don't know to what extent. I mean, address verification is fine. I don't know why bank account needs to be verified.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely.
Because we are not doing any banking transactions with them anyways.
Yeah.
So, so if they say they have a bank account, then we'll just report it that
Okay.
these many people claim that they have bank accounts
Okay.
in the name of the company. So yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this was one of my thoughts.
So basically, I mean, so we need to employ somebody who will generate this kind of a web interface, and how will the vendors know the link?
Okay. So that how will the vendors know the link? So we'll have to call them and we'll have to tell them that.
Yeah.
So acha, now throw some insights that right now, as we had last discussed, that uh, we have to conclude one part on Bihar, right? Which is one of the prime requirements
Right.
for our grant as well as the research proposal that.
Right.
And Bihar has also undergone election.
Right.
So we have pre-data, we had already worked, and we also have post-data.
Right.
So that is one part is Bihar, completing that. And then second part is moving on to a different state.
Yeah.
Right. So that is the second part. So, Acha, tell me like what kind of budget are we looking at in terms of monthly expenditure?
What do you mean?
I mean, how much monthly recurring cost we will be we are thinking of spending so that whatever we have to create should be within that, no?
Right, but in terms of, rather than thinking in terms of months, we should think in terms of tasks, that we have to hire people for so many months to complete certain tasks, and then accordingly we'll know how much money we can spend, because we have to think about payment to that person. So, I don't know if we can think in terms of months. I think it would be better to think categorize it in terms of what is the object set of tasks that we have to complete, and for each task, what is the necessary expenditure that we have to make.
Okay.
So one is the calling parts, for which we need to allocate some resources. The other is to also monitor progress of people, vendors filling out these forms, etc. So what we can do is hire one or two per people, and for say certain amount of months, and divide the tasks between these two people, and then pay them enough so that we can get a relatively good quality people for these kind of tasks. So that can also sort of give you, I guess, a monthly figure if we hire people to do all these things.
And this the infrastructure that I shared with you, this website infrastructure, and then the this postal verification.
Right.
So, do you think this we can think of?
See, I think we should either do postal verification or do this web page thing. Because if we are doing postal verification and sending letters to them, we might as well send that one form which has some basic questions that they can answer and return back. So then they don't have to go to any website and fill it out.
Okay.
And the rest we can call them up and ask.
So, but see, actually, when we ask them to send anything back to us,
Yeah,
that is a task on their part to fill the form and then to go to a post office and send it back to us.
right.
So there, the chances of people opting out would be higher
That I agree.
in doing this.
Yeah, unless is it possible to do like sometimes you don't need to do attach any post stamps or anything, like it's already done for you, so you can just fill it out and just drop it, kind of.
So you can say that all return addressed envelopes as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that we can think of.
The other option, if we are so if you're going the website way, then I think then we don't need to do the postal verification thing. Then we can say that ask them to upload some picture of the office where they work from, along with some, we can sort of see the location when they upload.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Maybe so they geotag.
So we can say that you take the picture of the room from where you work and upload it from that location right after taking the picture.
Mhm.
And hopefully, the web platform can pick up the location from which it was
Mhm.
uploaded.
Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so I will find out on both of these.
Yeah. And it would be good to hire maybe one, or probably, do you think it's better to hire two people?
Actually, two people would uh, be is always better than one, based on my experience, because
Because
there is a teamwork sort of feeling, and
yeah, yeah,
alone a person gets bored.
yeah.
Yeah.
And right, so if we hire them for, I don't think we can pay more than 15 to 20,000 per month per person.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So 30 to 48,000 per month on these two people, and then we can have them for 5 to 6 months, which should be enough for two people. 5 to 6 months, they can hopefully complete the survey. That's a lot of time.
Yeah, this is a lot of time.
But I think, yeah, once we hire them, I mean, before we hire them, we need to be very clear about the instructions that we need to give them, so that the survey doesn't get delayed because we have to figure out what to do next, etc.
Absolutely. So for we need to be clear on the questionnaire that we have to
Right.
implement. Then we have to be clear on the informations that we have to, basic informations that we have to collect
Yeah.
from the vendors,
Yeah.
and the script
Right.
that they need to say. These things we need to be clear on.
Okay. So let's try to get the questionnaire and the script ready by end of this month. So I'll prepare the questionnaire and the part of the questionnaire that should be done, like sort of the non-calling part of the questionnaire. And then we can think about the script together. And once we do that, we can, at the same time, you can look for potential people who we can hire, and then we can hopefully hire them from either February or mid-February. So February, March, April, May, June. So by say end of June or mid-July, so by July, hopefully we'll have a survey data in place, and then yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So my one input to this is when you develop the questionnaire, so I would suggest that if you do that in a backward fashion, that finally what output we plan to get, from there if we backtrace that what all informations we need to gather,
right.
then that would be, that would actually like make it the most structured.
Right.
For that we have we already have a data set which is kind of complete in itself.
Right.
And pre-informations we have.
Right.
If we have some sample post informations, then I think that would clearly be able to map it.
Yeah. Okay. I think you had sent me the list of assembly constituencies mapped to parliamentary constituencies, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I'll check.
Yeah. If not, then I will again resend you. I think I have sent you.
Sure. Yeah. Take care.
And there is one more progress that I want to share with you. Like last time I had informed you that in Bihar around 8 to 10 vendors only got the project, right, out of 125 who were there. Very few who got the final orders. So I have spoken to one. His name is Rajesh, and he did for entire JDU at the party level.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he looked into the digital part.
Yeah.
So the spent was around 27 crores.
Okay.
For WhatsApp and Twitter.
Okay. Where is he from?
So he's from Bihar.
Okay.
And actually how it went out, he is actually a sub vendor. So sub vendor, I mean that the person who got the project from JDU party, he is Ankit Lal.
Okay.
So Ankit Lal is in Aam Aadmi party.
Okay.
And he looks after social media of Aam Aadmi party.
Okay.
So Ankit Lal got the project from JDU, and he is not a regular vendor, Ankit Lal.
Okay.
He is a party person from here, and he went there as a political consultant on their digital front, and he got that project, and he subletted to Rajesh, who is actually a vendor.
Yeah.
And Ankit Lal looked, so 27 crore is what Ankit Lal got. Rajesh got less than that, but entire WhatsApp thing Ankit Lal gave to Rajesh, and Twitter Ankit Lal did on his own, but Rajesh knows how much was the entire project, and he has a fair idea on how much what budget was spent on Twitter. But
But
this at the party level.
yeah, but so you don't know Ankit Lal. You have no
No,
relationship.
I know Ankit Lal. Ankit Lal is my friend from Aam Aadmi Party. Earlier, I was in Aam Aadmi Party. I know Ankit Lal. But Ankit Lal is not a regular vendor.
So basically, what would be good is if we have some kind of a conversation with both Rajiv and let's have first conversation with Rajiv, and then if needed we can talk to Ankit, because he seems to have done something that on his own as well for the JDU,
Mhm.
to get some details, whether they'll be willing to share some of the details.
Hmm. Okay.
Right?
Right.
Because that would be amazing. Like if we get, like, say,
Your video has hanged. Hello. I think Sabya, you. Hello.
Sorry, there's a power cut.
Ha ha. Ha. Yeah.
So I was saying that if we could have a conversation with Rajiv,
Hmm.
and then maybe later with the depending on the requirement, and if we find that they are open to share detailed data,
Hmm.